What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. MTG here with another episode. If you guys are new to the channel, hi there. So I've got right here the 13-inch M5 iPad Pro as well as the 15-inch M4 MacBook Air. And if you guys have been subscribed to my channel, you guys will know that this 15-inch M4 MacBook Air is my main computing machine. Yes, I do have an M4 Mac Mini right here. This is for my home setup when I am at home, but usually when I'm out on the go, and plus when I'm at home, I like to edit on my M4 MacBook Air. But I did pick up the 13-inch M5 iPad Pro. This is my first 13-inch iPad Pro, so I wanted to try it out and see how it is. And here's what I have to say. At least for me, it's become more of a larger companion device. My iPad Mini is my main companion device, but my iPad Pro right here has become just a second screen to my M4 MacBook Air. But I think for some people this may be a replacement, even if you don't, especially if you don't have an M4 MacBook Air or just a MacBook Air in general, or just any laptop. Maybe you want to go the route of using an iPad Pro. I do have friends that use an iPad Pro specifically as their main computing machine. But I want to start things off with design and build of these two. So with the iPad Pro 13-inch, it has an Ultra Retina XDR display with a tandem OLED display essentially. And it is super great. It's super vibrant too, gets really bright outdoors, and it's great to use when you're traveling. Again, when you're out on the go. Super thin. Right now I have it in this case, this keyboard case from ESR. This case is also, or at least the keyboard, is removable too, which is great. I did make a YouTube short on it. Be sure to check it out. I absolutely love this case and offers great protection for the iPad Pro. But again, for having such a large screen, it's super thin and it's really durable. And also it has a premium build. It has Apple Pencil Pro support, as you can see right here. And because of its large size, at least with this 13-inch, I feel like it's more of a desk creative station device or a companion device, as I would call it, rather than something that's like ultra portable, like a smaller tablet, aka like the regular iPad or even an iPad Mini. An iPad Mini is not for everybody. I do understand that, but I feel like that's more of a portable iPad, obviously. When we get to the M4 15-inch MacBook Air, it's a 15.3-inch display. It does have this dynamic island cutout, which I don't know why it has it, because it just has a camera right in the middle, and that's essentially really it. There is center stage on both, which is great. And it is using an LED backlit IPS display. So it's not OLED, and we may get OLED in the next couple of years. We don't know exactly when. Maybe 2027 is when the MacBook Airs will get an OLED display. But as of right now, I think the display on the iPad Pro definitely is higher quality and gets much brighter, especially when you're using it outdoors or if you're going to like coffee shops. Now, the Apple M4 chip under the hood right here, it makes this very slim and quiet. Now, this doesn't have a fan, and in my use case, it hasn't really gotten any too warm to the point where I can't hold it anymore. It's gotten slightly warm, obviously, when I'm exporting videos, but for the most part, I don't really mind that it doesn't have a fan, especially for the work that I do. My creative workflow isn't too crazy. It doesn't require too many tasks, so therefore I'm fine with not having a fan here. So maybe if that's you, then I think the MacBook Air would be great, and that's typical. MacBook Air is not going to have a fan. Now, it has the traditional laptop form factor. Obviously, you close it and you open it. And this doesn't detach like the M5 iPad Pro's keyboard case does, but it still is super light to hold in the hand. It's got, you know, the trackpad, it's got Mac OS, which is a big thing, and I'll get to in a moment. And even though this is a 15-inch MacBook Air, I still feel like it's pretty decent and portable, but yeah, it's not going to be as portable as its 13-inch. I'll tell you that. And I've used the 13-inch M2 MacBook Air. I really do miss using the 13-inch, but you know, the trade-off of being more portable and then having a larger screen for, you know, more screen real estate, I think I'd still end up going with the 15-inch. Definitely not as portable and easy to carry, but hey, sometimes you got to make some trade-offs for your workflow. But here's what I have to say about the design and build. If you want a device oriented towards like a tablet plus a creative workflow, because with the iPad it's a touch screen, you get to use the Apple Pencil Pro, especially if like you're an artist and you're going to be using it for drawing or making wallpapers like this you see right here. It is called Lava Flow. I'll be leaving links in the description down below. And then yes, the iPad Pro is going to be that device for you. But if you need something like a traditional laptop form factor with a built-in keyboard and a trackpad, and you want the full Mac OS, then yes, MacBook Air 15-inch is going to obviously be more practical. Now let's get into the performance and the software, because that's where the big things are happening, right? We have the M5 chipset with the iPad Pro. Now with this M5 chip, we're getting different variants, a 9 or 10 core CPU, 10 core GPU, and up to 16 gigs of RAM. Obviously that's going to be with 2 terabytes of storage, or you can go 1 terabyte, but if you go 2 terabytes of storage, that's going to cost you $2,300 for this, and that's just the iPad. That's not including the accessories, so that does say a lot. And I think for that price, like comparing it, MacBook Air would work out a little bit better, but again, you have to know for what reason you're picking either of these devices up for. What's it going to be used for? That's the important thing you have to ask yourself. Just want to sit down and kind of compare the two. And also, because of that, this iPad is obviously running iPad OS, but it does have, you know, support for Apple Pencil Pro. It's got a bunch of multitasking features like Stage Manager and things like that, but iPad OS 26 feels more like Mac OS, even though it's not. So I'll show you an example. So for example, we've got one app right here pulled up, and I do want to pull up, I don't know, let's say we pull up the journal. So we bring the journal over here, and bam, we've got 2 apps side by side. And what I love about this is like it's got the same buttons, or it's got the same, you know, X, minimize, and then full screen like Mac OS, even though it's not. But yep, we got 2 apps open right here, and we can make this just a little bit smaller. Let's make that a little bit smaller, move it there just like that, and bam. So we got right here 2 apps running side by side, and I kind of see myself using this feature here. You can do this on the iPad mini too, by the way, which I don't, because it's not worth it for having a smaller screen on the iPad mini. But here with the Pro, this makes so much more sense. So it's one step closer to Mac OS, but it's still not Mac OS. And it's excellent for creative apps. If you want to go Procreate, if you want to go video editing, I think it's great for that, but I think it's especially great because of having that touchscreen. So if you want to use it for apps like Canva, like Notability, if you're taking lots of notes, if you want to use Final Cut Pro and LumaFusion, you have that ability. If you want to use it for Lightroom, again, making wallpapers, Procreate is the way to go if you ask me. But like, because this is iPad OS, it's going to have those limitations of not being a full desktop OS when it comes to things like file system. Yes, it has a much improved Files app, but it just doesn't really add up. And you kind of have to use Mac OS to really understand. I don't know, like I've using these side by side, I tried to bring my workflow and work on it, but I just couldn't get through it. Like, it just felt so odd to me. And kudos to those who are able to use their iPad Pro as their main device, as their main computing machine. I was just not able to. Like, I got used to having a physical trackpad and a keyboard, and just having Mac OS for me is probably the reason why I don't think I personally would be able to make the switch. But in terms of performance, the iPad Pro is going to perform very well because of the M5 chipset. Obviously updated. It's not a huge upgrade over the M4, which this MacBook Air has. It's a 10-core CPU with a 10-core GPU in this 15-inch model. It's got plenty of power, productivity, creative work. Video editing has been great. Again, I've been using it since March of this year, so we're coming up on almost a year, but it's absolutely been great. It's running Mac OS. It gives that full desktop support, app support, better multitasking and workflow flexibility, if you ask me, and just a more robust peripheral / monitor support. So I'm really happy with using the MacBook Air. Now I think this is ideal for users who treat their device as a primary computing machine, I'll put it that way, rather than just a large tablet. But again, kudos to those who are able to use the iPad Pro as their main computing machine. I don't know, I just was not able to fully make the switch. I tried it, didn't really work out, so I think for right now I'll be sticking with the M4 MacBook Air. In terms of power, I don't see a difference. Like in day-to-day use, I really don't see a difference when opening, Safari or watching YouTube videos. Just the speed of everything is about, the same. I don't think those benchmark scores, especially when you're comparing these two, should be really compared because they're completely, different devices. An iPad, a MacBook. I don't know. That's just me. But for pure power and flexibility and having a just laptop / workstation task type of thing, MacBook Air is going to be the stronger choice. If you want more creative touches, styles, and input mobility as being a touchscreen first device, yes, this iPad Pro is definitely going to be the one that stands out. But again, it's not running Mac OS. iPadOS 26 is great. It truly is. It's the best iPadOS experience we've gotten. Super close to Mac OS, but it's still not there. And that does make sense. I see why Apple is not completely bringing in Mac OS onto their iPads. I feel like that would kind of just eat into sales, but we'll leave that up to Apple. That's Apple's choice. Now, when it comes to the use case for the iPad Pro 13-inch, I think this is excellent for those who are getting into content space. Whether you're an illustrator, like an artist, you're a video editor, you're a designer. I think it's great for media consumption especially. I've been actually using this, again, as my companion device, much more for media consumption, watching YouTube videos, things like that, drawing, note-taking. Like if I still was in college, I'd probably end up picking up an iPad Pro because it's powerful. I know that I can do much more than just note-taking if I have to. This would be it for me. Like note-taking is great on this, sketching. Again, Procreate is the app I use to sketch wallpapers and just other things as well. And then when you pair it with things like a Magic Keyboard or this case right here from ESR, it acts like a mini workstation. It truly does. And if your workflow is tied to like having a touchscreen tablet experience first, then this is going to be the one for you. When it comes to the M4 15-inch MacBook Air, I think this is ideal for students, but not just students, professionals. Again, those who are getting into content space who need a full-fledged laptop. It's better for long typing sessions, I'll tell you that. Just long-term, I felt this keyboard more comfortable. Maybe it's because I'm used to it. I've been using it longer than this iPad Pro keyboard. It has the full software suites with Photoshop. You can get Adobe Premiere, Photoshop, Final Cut Pro, Microsoft Suite, which I tend to use the Google Suite nowadays. Even though I have the apps installed, I tend to use Google. It just makes it easier on my end. But yeah, for those reasons, and obviously having a bunch of windows open at the same time, MacBook Air is going to be a great choice. But I also think it's those who are looking for a more conventional laptop workflow. Less about the stylus and the touch, more about the keyboard and the trackpad. Overall, it's just has a larger keyboard and a larger trackpad than the current ESR keyboard case that I'm using, which, by the way, is also super large. Has a super large trackpad for what you're getting. But I gotta say, pick the iPad Pro if your workflow revolves around a touchscreen, stylus, creative input, and you value flexibility. Choose the M4 MacBook Air 15-inch if you prioritize, again, just having the physical keyboard and trackpad, the full desktop software, and obviously much more productivity. As for the pricing and the value, I gotta tell you this, the iPad Pro starts at a high base price. It starts at like what, $1,300 for 256 gigs. And again, that is just this right here, just the iPad Pro. No accessories, no Apple Pencil Pro, none of that sort. The M4 MacBook Air, this 15-inch model, it offers high performance and large screen at about the same size. In fact, I'll even pull it up for you. Just going to M4 MacBook Air right here. And this is the base. It obviously, right, when you're in this, holiday season, it is definitely going to be on sale. But if you go for a 15-inch, it's going to cost you, with the same 256 gigs of storage, $1,200 instead of $1,300. I feel like this is going to be a better buy overall. A 10-core CPU, 10-core GPU, 16 gigs of unified memory versus 12 gigs on the iPad Pro starting. So yeah, it's going to be $100 cheaper, and you're getting the full experience. Like, you don't need any extra accessories. I don't know. If you want sheer value, large screen, laptop power, the full OS, MacBook Air is going to give more computer for the money. But if you want specialized workflows, again, it all comes down to having that creative workflow by using the touch screen. Then yeah, iPad Pro is definitely going to be that. But just to wrap things up, if I were to pick one device for my general use, productivity, heavier workflows, it's going to be the M4 15-inch MacBook Air. I don't really care that it has the M5. I really don't care that the iPad Pro has the M5. And I'll tell you this, once Apple releases the M5 MacBook Air, I'm going to go for the M5 MacBook Air. And I would go with that device, upcoming device, I'll put it that way, over the M5 iPad Pro any day. It's just, it works with my workflow much better. But again, if your priorities are, you want that touch stylus experience, creative mobility, flexibility between having a tablet, and you're used to iPad OS, then yes, this iPad Pro 13-inch is fantastic. For most people who don't need a stylus input or a tablet-first workflow, this right here, I think it's the better investment. Long term, I feel like you're going to get a better ROI, return on investment, with the 15-inch MacBook Air. But for those, again, getting in the creative space, who are going to use the Apple Pencil Pro, who are into, drawing and just being an artist, or, using it for tablet-related things, then yeah, the iPad Pro might just be worth it for you. But yeah, the iPad Pro has been great. It has been a very beautiful, very premium device, but I still think it can't keep up with the MacBook Air. And some may say, why are you even comparing the two? They're two totally different computing machines, and they're meant for different customers. And yes, that makes sense, but sometimes you want to bring those because, again, I have friends that have ditched their computing machines for the iPad Pro. They have their reasons for it. Again, a lot of them use it for note-taking, use it because they have that tablet experience when they need, but also have like a hybrid laptop experience when they need it. So it works out in their favor. But for me, I'm going to be going with the M4 15-inch MacBook Air all the way. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video, just kind of me talking about these two devices. If you did, definitely be sure to super smash that like button, comment down below, and best of all, share this video because it really does help out the channel out a lot and will help push my content out to more people. Definitely be sure to check out my latest wallpaper pack. It is called Lava Flow. Links will be in the description down below. That's been it for me, and I'll catch you all in the next episode.